Prologue. The myth and the monument. Deep beneath the rolling hills of the Moscow region, away from the glittering domes of the Kremlin and the bustling streets of the capital, lies a monument to a specific kind of power. The power of fear, the power of secrecy, and the power to survive an apocalypse. This is not a relic of the Cold War, though its roots are planted firmly in that era of mutual assured destruction. This is a modern, active, and staggeringly expensive nerve center known to intelligence agencies and conspiracy theorists alike. The bunker complex at Voronovo, often dubbed the National Defense Management Center, NDMC, or, more colloquially, Putin's bunker. Officially, it is a state-of-the-art command and control facility, a $2.1 billion marvel of engineering designed to ensure the continuity of government in the event of a national catastrophe. Unofficially, it is the heart of the Russian war machine, the place from which the invasion of Ukraine was, and continues to be, orchestrated. It is a symbol of impenetrability, a literal and figurative fortress designed to shield the Russian leadership from any and all threats. But on a crisp morning in the late stages of the war, a new kind of threat emerged, one that the billion-dollar walls were not designed to stop. It did not come in the form of an intercontinental ballistic missile with a nuclear warhead. It came from the sky, small, nimble, and buzzing with a singular, audacious purpose: to prove that nowhere is safe. This is the story of the day Ukrainian drones, in a mission that would be hailed as both tactical and profoundly psychological, struck at the very symbol of Russian power. And this is the story of what happened next. Part 1. The Citadel, building the $2.1 billion fortress. To understand the magnitude of the strike, one must first understand the target. The Voronovo complex is not merely a hole in the ground. It is a city beneath a city, a testament to paranoia and planning on a grand scale. A legacy of burrowing. Russia's obsession with deep underground military facilities dates back to the Soviet era. The Cold War prompted the construction of massive bunker networks, from the legendary GZR-3 complex in the Ural Mountains to the secret Metro 2 subway system rumored to run beneath Moscow, connecting key government installations. This bunker mentality is woven into the fabric of the Russian state's strategic doctrine, the belief that survival itself is a form of victory. Voronovo, the crown jewel. Construction on the current Voronovo facility began in the early 2000s, coinciding with Vladimir Putin's rise to power and his mission to restore Russian military might. By the time of its completion, estimates placed its cost at an astronomical 155 billion rubles, approximately $2.1 billion USD. This wasn't just a reinforced basement, it was a geopolitical statement in concrete and steel. What did that money buy? Depth and protection. The complex is believed to extend over 300 meters, almost 1,000 feet, underground. Its walls are made of meters-thick, steel-reinforced concrete, designed to withstand a direct hit from a nuclear warhead. It is shielded from electromagnetic pulses, EMP, and is connected by dedicated, hardened communication lines that are independent of the public grid. Self-sufficiency. The bunker is a closed ecosystem. It has its own power generation, water and air purification systems, and enough food supplies to sustain a full government and military staff for months, if not years. It is a lifeboat for the entire Russian chain of command. Technological hub. At its core, the NDMC is a vast, high-tech operations center. Giant digital screens display real-time data from across the globe. It is from here that the General Staff monitors nuclear forces, conventional military operations, and the nation's critical infrastructure. It is often the backdrop for Putin's staged meetings with his military leaders, the sterile, high-tech environment projecting an image of cool, unflappable control. Luxury in the abyss. Reports from defectors and intelligence leaks suggest that the upper echelons of the complex are not Spartan. They are said to include luxurious apartments, conference rooms, and amenities befitting the nation's elite, a gilded cage for the end of the world. For years, Voronovo stood as the ultimate symbol of security. It was the impenetrable heart from which the special military operation was launched. For Ukrainians, it was the brain of the beast, a physical manifestation of the command structure that was raining death on their cities. It was, by all conventional measures, untouchable, until the calculus of war changed. Part 2. The weapon, the rise of the Ukrainian drone. The story of the strike is inextricably linked to the story of Ukraine's drone warfare program. In the early days of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine was massively outgunned. Its air force, though heroic, was dwarfed by Russia's vast aerospace forces. Its navy was scuttled. Its army was desperate for intelligence and strike capabilities. From this desperation, innovation was born. Ukraine did not try to match Russia tank for tank or plane for plane. Instead, it embarked on a strategy of asymmetric warfare, and at the center of this strategy was the drone. From hobbyist to hero, the transformation began organically. Ukrainian civilians and soldiers alike began modifying commercial, off-the-shelf drones, COTS, the kind anyone can buy online, for military purposes. DJI Mavics and Audals, once used for filming weddings and real estate videos, were suddenly fitted with makeshift releases to drop small grenades and anti-tank munitions on Russian vehicles. This was a revolution in tactical warfare. A $2,000 drone could destroy a multi-million-dollar tank. A squad of infantry could have its own aerial reconnaissance. The Ukrainian military, recognizing the potential, formalized these efforts. Units like Aerorozvidka, aerial reconnaissance, became pioneers, developing their own software, communication systems, and payloads. The long-range evolution. As the war settled into a grueling stalemate, the front lines became a deadly slog. Ukraine needed a way to strike deep behind enemy lines, at airfields, ammunition depots, fuel storage sites, and command centers. This gave birth to the long-range drone program. Using a combination of crowdfunding, government grants, and sheer ingenuity, Ukrainian engineers began designing and building one-way attack drones, also known as loitering munitions or kamikaze drones. These were not small quadcopters. They were fixed-wing aircraft, resembling small, primitive airplanes, with ranges of hundreds of kilometers. Companies like Ukroboronprom and a thriving ecosystem of private startups worked tirelessly. They experimented with engines, navigational systems, overcoming Russian GPS jamming with inertial guidance and visual recognition, and warheads. The results were drones like the UJ-22 Airborne and the now famous Bober. These drones could fly over 500 kilometers, navigate autonomously, and deliver a significant explosive payload with surprising accuracy. Their advantages were numerous. Cost-effectiveness. A long-range drone might cost tens of thousands of dollars. A cruise missile costs millions. Mass production. They could be built quickly in dispersed workshops, making them hard for Russia to target. Psychological impact. Their ability to reach deep into Russian territory shattered the myth of security for the Russian population and leadership. The stage was set. Ukraine now had a weapon that could, in theory, reach the Holy of Holies. But theory and practice are separated by a chasm of air defenses, secrecy, and distance. Part 3. The mission, planning the impossible. Striking Voranovo was not a decision taken lightly. It was the ultimate high-risk, high-reward target. The strategic rationale. From a military perspective, the bunker itself was a hard target. A drone strike was unlikely to cause significant structural damage to the deep underground levels. The real value was not in destruction but in disruption and symbolism. Decapitation strike. Even a near miss could disrupt Russian command and control, forcing the high command to scramble, to evacuate, or even just to lose communications for a few hours could create chaos and opportunities on the front lines. Psychological warfare. The message was everything. We can reach you anywhere. Your deepest bunkers are not safe. The war you started is now on your doorstep. This was aimed directly at Putin's image as the secure, strongman leader and at the morale of the Russian elite. Domestic morale. For a Ukrainian population enduring relentless bombardment, a strike on the very center of Russian command would be an unparalleled morale boost, a testament to their country's resilience and ingenuity. The intelligence feat. Planning the strike was an intelligence nightmare. The exact coordinates were a state secret. The air defense umbrella around Moscow, arguably the most densely defended airspace on Earth, was formidable. It consisted of S-400 and S-500 long-range surface-to-air missile systems, Pantsir S-1 short-range air defense systems, a web of radar installations and electronic warfare (EW) units designed to detect and jam any incoming threat. Ukrainian military intelligence (GUR), led by the legendary Lieutenant General Kirilo Budanov, was key. Through a combination of human intelligence (HUMINT) from partisans and agents within Russia, signals intelligence (SIGINT), and satellite imagery, they likely pieced together the facility's location and vulnerabilities. They would have studied flight paths, radar coverage gaps, and the routines of air defense patrols. The chosen instrument. The mission would fall to a new, secretive long-range drone, a product of Ukraine's most advanced workshops. It was likely a larger, more sophisticated variant of the UJ-22 or a new design altogether, boasting enhanced stealth features, perhaps using composite materials to reduce radar cross-section, advanced navigation to evade jamming, and a warhead large enough to make a statement. The route would not be direct. Flying straight to Moscow would be suicide. The drone would have to take a circuitous path, skirting major defense installations, flying low to avoid radar, and possibly even following river valleys or other terrain features for cover. It was a mission that pushed the limits of technology and nerve. Part 4. The strike. A buzz on the horizon. D-Day. The launch likely occurred from somewhere in northern Ukraine, under the cover of darkness. The drone, its engine a quiet hum, ascended into the night sky and turned east, towards Russia. 4 hours, it flew autonomously, a speck of technology navigating a hostile sky. It dipped and weaved, its pre-programmed flight path a masterpiece of evasion. It passed over Bryansk or Kursk regions, where Russian air defenses are still dense but less concentrated than around the capital. It is possible that other drones were launched simultaneously as decoys, designed to saturate and confuse Russian defenses. As it approached the Moscow region, the threat level increased exponentially. This is where the mission's success hinged on its stealth and the element of surprise. Russian air defense, conditioned to look for large missiles and aircraft from the west, may have been slow to recognize the small, slow, low-flying signature of the drone. The impact. In the early morning hours, air raid sirens wailed in the Moscow region, a sound that had become increasingly familiar to Muscovites but